So okay, so the question actually, since I joined again, so I missed most of the question, but I get
So
one.
I can read the question for you. So somebody asked to open a Google Scholar ID. They want institutional email ID. So what he can do in this kind of situation?
No, you don't need any institutional email ID, because if you look over my last YouTube video, I think you share it in your page, right, Ramesh?
Yes, I did. Yes,
Yeah,
I did.
yeah. If you share it, you will see that I only open it through the Gmail ID. There was no edu ID. You can, the Google Scholar ID, you can open it with the Gmail ID, and even I showed it through, instead of, I mean, if you have the Gmail ID, you can just log in and you will see your profile. But in that video, I show that how to create the Gmail account, and then using the Gmail account, how you can sign in. So most of them have Gmail, no doubt. So you just have to sign in, and then you can follow the steps what I have shown in the video. You can watch even today in that web page. So yeah, that's, is there another question?
So the another question is, he said, please repeat, what do you mean by methodology? Please answer with an example of monkeypox.
Okay. The methodology, I kept it, it's a very, very large portion and very important part of your research. So I kept it very separate for next class, but upcoming class, but I'm going to give you some information as we are pushing forward to write some manuscript regarding monkeypox. Uh, so in methodology, in suppose, for example, from my domain, if I work in machine learning domain, what will be my methodology? Suppose, how can I say? For example, I'm using deep learning technique. Okay, so initially, maybe I will talk about that how deep learning work. What is the model look like deep learning? A little bit information, and then second, I will start talking about my proposed method. That okay, this is suppose my algorithm is the combination of GAN and autoencoder. So then and then I'm started talking about that, okay, how I'm going to achieve this. Okay, I'll follow step 1, 2, 3, 4 to develop this method, I mean this algorithm. Okay, so this is what you want to propose, you will describe in methodology. Then you have to talk about your experimental setup. So what I'm going to do, I will say that, okay, for this experiment, I'm going to use the office grade laptop, 16 GB RAM, 24 GB, 256, blah, blah, blah. I'm using Python 3.7, 3.8. So that is actually, initially, if you look many of the paper, it was not requirement, but now there is so many publication and papers. So all of the scientific paper now demands that whatever you are promising, it should be reproducible. That does mean that when you have to describe elaborately everything, so that if someone look into your paper, he can exactly reproduce all of your result, all of your answer. So you have to, before it was not important that, okay, what is the computer you're using, but now it's important to talking about this kind of stuff, the experimental setup. Then maybe I'll talk about my data set. My data set contain that kind of monkeypox sample, that non-monkeypox sample, all the characteristics. And then I'll talk about, okay, here I'm going to do the p test or q test, or for machine learning part, I will say here I'm going to use accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score to measure the statistical result. And then you will say, what is accuracy? Accuracy is maybe total predicted by correctly predicted by total number of sample. So that's how you describe every stuff. And then you'll also describe, okay, for this technique, I use 80% sample for my training, 20% sample for my testing. So those are all information will go through methodology. Suppose now you are you are not working in machine learning and deep learning field, you are working in drug design, or you want to suppose the effect of social impact. Okay, so what will be methodology? In methodology, you will say that it will start like that we collected 20,000 Twitter samples using this method from the date January 1 to February 1, kind of like that. And then then you will say that then we clean the data, and the data set contain the Twitter data contain 15 row and 10 column, but based on the relevant of our study, we only consider 10 row or 10 column something. And how you actually remove this 10 column? You'll say, okay, those are the 10 column has a lot of missing value, so we just remove it since the information is not enough. And then you will say that with this data, we want to do our statistical measurement. Maybe then you'll say that put the hypothesis, you'll say that, okay, here our p naught is does monkeypox have the more social phobia compared to the COVID-19? And then your alternate hypothesis will be that does it will not much affect the way it is affected for COVID-19. And then you will say that I have since the 20,000 samples, so it's larger than 30 samples, so I'm going to do the Z test. Okay, then you will describe that what is Z test, and then you will start, then in your result part, you will show your Z test or whatever how you do this one. So in methodology, you will describe what you are actually doing and how actually you are doing. So I guess you get this answer.
So as we have a lot of questions, so if we can answer them in short, then I think it would be helpful for everybody, because so many people are asking questions.
Okay.
So another question is, in what part should I read in the paper to find the research gap?
Yeah, I actually already mentioned earlier that you should read the introduction, abstract, the discussion, and the conclusion. That is the fastest way to get your research gap, from any paper. And you will not be understand the research gap at the beginning, but when you look over the abstract and conclusion and the last part of the discussion, in a Word or Excel file, you will collect the information based on your research question. Then if you start looking like 4 or 5 papers, you'll easily see the difference, and that will help you to get the research gap. We'll talk more in the next class actually about that one.
So somebody asked, can we get a sample manuscript so that we can understand what you are expecting from us?
Same thing as I mentioned earlier. In the manuscript should be contain the abstract, introduction, methodology, result, discussion, and conclusion. So without this, every manuscript is incomplete, no matter whatever you written. Okay. Any other different question?
Yeah, I already have answered, but if somebody wants to get the answer from you. So her question was, research proposal and manuscript, are these two things same?
Research proposal and manuscript, it could be different, it could be same, it depends. For example, in a research proposal, you are actually proposing what you want to do, but you are not bound to show them that you already did it. But if I talk about myself, in my research proposal, I showed some of my work that I already did, and I showed them that, okay, based on what I did, I want to do that for my in my proposal. So this is different than the manuscript. But your research proposal, if it's strong enough, then it could be a manuscript. But no manuscript is actually complete without your research findings. So you cannot use a research proposal as a journal publication or manuscript. Any question apart from this?
Yeah, so somebody asked, as a beginner, it's hard to write an abstract. Please, so if you give some tips, it will be really good for us.
Yeah, it's already given. I gave the slide will be given, and you have to just answer that question. The question I put in the abstract portion. You just read the question, and whatever you want to write in which topic, you just have to answer that question. So I guess then it will be easy for you to write down the abstract.
Somebody asked, dataset regarding monkeypox for machine learning is not that available. So what he or she can do in this kind of situation?
Sorry, what is the question?
So he said dataset regarding machine learning, dataset regarding monkeypox with machine learning is not that available. So what he or she can do in this kind of situation, like
Okay.
how she collect the data.
So since data set is not available regarding the monkeypox, then he or she can do different tasks. She can create a data set which will be used, which will be hugely helpful for others. She can also what is called use the existing there is information, work on that. Like, for example, using the newspaper, there is some information, using the information from the TV news and different part. What you can do, you can write something on that. It's not that you have to do it everything on machine learning. You can do in some other work, but still, if you want to work on machine learning part, then if the data set is not available, then your first and your novel work will be create a data set before somebody create the data set. So if you want to, for example, maybe you can create a questionnaire and find 100 people from Bangladesh or your circle and ask them some particular question, and for your analysis put all the their answer like a numerical value 1 2 3 4 10 something like that, and your final prediction keep it yes or no type of yes or no type value. So what will happen then, maybe you can write a paper about monkeypox effect and thought people who are among 100 students or something. So you create a data set in Bangladesh. So this is very definitive. So that you can do anything about that. Yeah.
So I think it's I guess it's the last question. Yeah, it's probably the last two questions. So one is, what is the deadline for submitting task 1? And another question, are we going to focus on writing a paper on monkeypox in the upcoming classes?
There is no bound to write everyone for the monkeypox classes, for monkeypox, because the point is it's an opportunity for everyone. So if you are not interested, if you think that you have something for different than monkeypox and you want to work on that, or you have something very close to finish line and you still want to stick with that one, you are more than welcome. You should do it. But I'll suggest that if you have class, if you have to finish something very particular for your work, then and you should not take extra burden considering monkeypox. But yes, right now we are actually focusing on monkeypox, and there is the deadline. Somebody asked the deadline. That there is no deadline, because we are actually working on that. I mean, I'm personally trying to work on something, or maybe some people trying to work on something. So you, when the as fast as you give your contribution, then we will contact you, we'll let you know that how we are going to use your information and how it's going to work. And again, the one thing is, if you write the manuscript by yourself, definitely you're welcome. But the if you ask me the specific frame line, the whole publishing procedure or the writing manuscript will not take more than a month, because after a month it will be hard to I mean to get accepted in a good journal, or it will not be that way. Or maybe if suddenly the monkeypox just suddenly get dropped, then all of our work will not be get attention from the people.
So I guess that's all of our questions. If anybody wants to leave, he is free to leave. We don't want to bind anybody. But if somebody still have a question, I guess he or she can ask in the comment box. Otherwise, probably Manjir bhai will say like, is it the end of the class or?
Yeah. There is nothing more today for sure. So
Okay, so I have a question actually
okay,
from my
so
side.
the point is, do you want me to record it, or do you want me to stop the
No, it's
record?
fine. It's absolutely fine for me if you record it even.
Okay.
So thing is to write a research proposal. You already have showed like what type of things we need to focus. But as I mean, as some of us didn't write a research proposal before, so it would be really helpful for us if you can give a template or demo type of things, like by one or two Microsoft Word or Excel page. So I think it would be really helpful if you give a template or something like that to us, so that we can use
Yeah,
that as base
yeah,
for.
yeah. I can. I'll give that. I'll give that for sure. So I'll share one the template for the proposal. But the thing is, I have to find something about which is actually, or maybe create a general template instead of very
Yeah,
specific domain.
yeah,
So
I also hope so. And guys, if you don't have any questions, you can leave. And we have, I can see Hasib Bhai, so probably he wants to talk to you. So if he has a question, he can um, type, or he can just simply ask you. Hasib Bhai, can you hear me?
I already answered this question, that in Google Scholar you can open Google Scholar ID without the Gmail, and sorry, without the institutional ID. And we'll talk about the research gate in the next class. and I'll help you all to open the I'll help you all to open the ResearchGate account if you can't open the ResearchGate account because of your if it asks for your institutional ID. So I'll look over into that in later actually. But if you guys have the institutional ID, then use it for create the ResearchGate account. Yeah, Mr. Hazibur Rahman is saying he's
Yeah, I gave him the authority to ask.
okay.
মঞ্জুর ভাই, হ্যাঁ শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay. Oh, okay. So yep, I think we can speak later. Like this is on a recorded line, I guess. If you don't have like if you have time, like we can speak later. So
Yeah, I think we can speak after everybody leaves. So
yeah.
So we can connect after everybody leaves. So guys, if you have question, you can ask in the in the chat box. Otherwise, this is the end for the class today. So hope to see you in the next class, exactly the same time, same day. So don't be late and do your task one. And if you have any questions, just ask him by the email so that he can answer in a PDF format after collecting all of your questions. So thank you so much guys for joining, and you have a good night.
Okay, I'm going to stop recording. Okay.